Hello, everybody. I was painting some shirts. I feel like this is way too powerful. There we go. I'm just fulfilling some of my website orders today. So I kind of glanced over what was ahead of me, but I don't know for sure what I'm painting. I got to read as I go and sort of make sure that I'm doing everything right. This is a graffiti style design, 80s baby with a boombox on the bottom. It'll be a little cool. I do a lot of these graffiti style like boombox designs. Most of the painting I do is just commissions, simple t-shirt commissions like this. I like to pick ones that I think are interesting and then, record and make the videos that you see of them. But for the most part, this is all I do. I'm working on some classes and lessons, and I know I've said that for a long time, but I'm getting serious about it. Right now, what I'm trying to put together is a list of materials for a class that I've been trying to put together. I'm hoping that this summer, through Discord, I'll be able to do a little bit of a structured how to airbrush class. If anybody's interested in that. No one has signed up yet, and that's fine if no one wants to, but I felt for a long time like I should be offering some sort of class, some sort of lessons or something. I've been asked many times. So I'm going to try to just stop dilly-dallying and do it, even if it's not done, even if it's not perfect. At least have something out there to get started with. If you are interested in learning how to airbrush, follow the link in my profile, dale.inc. That will get you to like a link tree where you can find me on Discord or you can find my Patreon or whatever and kind of find me from there. Where's your sign up for class? Yeah, through the Discord. Dale.inc is where you can find all the links that I have. I have some equipment and whatnot set up, like equipment links. I have, Patreon page and all that. Discord is where we're going to be doing the class through. I haven't set any prices or anything like that. I don't know. Like I said, I really feel I want to do a really good job with the class, and the desire to do a good job has kind of like stalled me from doing it because I'm afraid I'm going to miss something or forget something. So the first one is just going to be really casual. It's going to be a learning experience for me just as much as anybody else. But my goal is to take hypothetical artists from never using an airbrush before all the way into being proficient with the airbrush, knowing how to clean and use the airbrush and take care of it. Use the airbrush equipment that you need, which is, a task in and of itself. And teach you how to do some basic lettering styles and whatnot. Get you to the point where you feel comfortable airbrushing. It's kind of like the first couple months of what you would learn at a shop or something. Maybe the first couple weeks of what you would learn. I don't know. Let's see, what am I doing? Turquoise on the outside with some blue bricks, maybe. But, I'm still gauging like interest and whatnot for who wants to take that class. Does anybody want to take that class? I haven't advertised it a whole lot, but it's there. Step 1, join the Discord and tell me you're interested, and we'll go from there. Here's some bricks. Awesome. Excuse me. We got some interest. That's good. I've seen, 2 or 3 people have said that they're interested in it in the last month of it being available. Like I said, I haven't pushed it. There's no like official signups or anything, so I don't expect a lot of people to say anything about it. But yeah, let's figure this thing out. I'm excited. I'm just nervous. I always try to gauge on different platforms when I stream in different places, like what the audience that's watching me now. Have you guys airbrushed before? Are you artists, or are you just intrigued by what's happening here and I've never painted before? Where are you at with the art? Hey Todd, what's going on, man? Why am I nervous? I'm nervous not because of airbrushing. I'm nervous for some reason. It's always been nerve-wracking, I guess, to make sure that I do a good job with the classes. I know that I can teach live like this, and that, I'm fine with. But for some reason, coming up with the whole airbrush curriculum, I just want to make sure I do a good job with the videos. I want to make sure that I cover everything. I don't know, for some reason, when it comes to an official curriculum, it just feels different. Doing it for free live is one thing, but then if I'm going to charge someone to take a class, I gotta make sure that I deliver. Yeah, that's all. Alright, this spoon's got a back. There's no apostrophe in the 80s. There's apostrophe in this 80s. It's apostrophe in the 80s that they requested. Since 14. That's a weird design. I love the comments I get on videos that are like, the pink ruined it. Why would you use pink? That's such a girly color. Everyone forgets that I'm fulfilling commissions for customers who have an idea in mind and have requested the things that I'm painting. I am an artist and I have some creative control, but I am, again, fulfilling a commission for a customer. It's important that I do what they have hired me to do. And it is certainly within their rights to pick artwork colors. Let's see, pink. Pink and blue, I guess. Sometimes customers are more clear than other times. And this time we have a run-on sentence paragraph instead of just a simple color request. Very simple. These comments are proving hard to keep up with. Usually I can do it pretty well. I don't know if they changed the interface, but it's disappearing right after they come in. Usually they stay up the whole time. That's okay. Alright, since 14. Peace and love. I just made a video of that shirt. It's going to be an interesting one. I wore a Bob Ross costume, so you know it's going to be special. It is a lost art. Airbrushing is underappreciated. Underrated. Polland. I understand, like, airbrush t-shirts aren't necessarily like on trend, and that's not what I'm saying, but airbrushing as an art form, this tool has a whole lot of potential, and most people just are not familiar with this, don't even know what it's called, let alone how to use it or where to get it or anything like that. Airbrushing is great, man. I feel more able to do artwork than with this tool than any other art form. I have more control with an airbrush than I do with a pencil. More control than I have with a digital tablet. I can make any line I want to with this tool, and I struggle with whatever else. More so, at least. I also paint on any surface with this tool. Thank you guys. I appreciate the comments and compliments. I see them. I just want to inspire people to paint. That's really the goal. I want people to recognize how cool this is and what the capabilities are. Oh, that was what the problem was. It takes some troubleshooting sometimes. You gotta know how to use it and how to fix things. And that's why I want to do the classes, because it's kind of a technical art. It's got a learning curve to it. How many years of practice? I have been painting for 15 years. And it's been a full-time job for those 15 years, so many thousands of hours. I've painted somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 60,000 shirts and hats and items. This has been full-time for 15 years. Self-employed, every day, all day long type of artwork. I am almost at 1 million. I'm excited about that. At this rate, I should get it in a month or two, depending on, if I get another big video or something. I'm almost out of yellow paint. We gotta fill this up real quick. I use Createx airbrush paint for the most part. Air Todd, thank you, dude. $10, man. You didn't need to do all that. I certainly appreciate it. That kind of support is what really has motivated me to continue teaching and make it more of an intentional teaching role instead of just the videos, because making videos I started doing just for fun, and then the views were cool and the likes were coming in and that was cool or whatever, but then I see comments that are like, you've inspired me to pick up airbrushing again, and I've learned to airbrush because of this, and I'm starting to do this, and can you help me get started and whatnot. And I was like, wow, this is actually, means something. This is really neat, and thank you for the reminder that there's more value to this than just entertainment. Let me just scoot this over a little bit. This is a gold chain design. It's one of my more popular designs. One that I came up with that kind of is one of my signature, I guess you would say, designs. It's not that crazy, but I came up with the easy way to do the gold chains themselves, that's a super complicated thing. If you try to approach painting a gold chain, you're like, this is going to be really complicated and hard, but I came up with a simple way to do it. Acrylic paint, yes, it's airbrushed. It's airbrush paint. It is acrylic, but airbrush paint is a little bit different. The pigments in airbrush paint are milled to a very, very fine size. Airbrushing is very precise. The pigments in all of the paint that you spray has to fit through a very small nozzle. It's got to be atomized by the airbrush, which means everything has to be really fine and really smooth. So regular thick craft acrylic paints are not going to do well for you. they're going to clog up your airbrush and they're going to just be difficult. And really no amount of reducing is going to fix that. Reducing your paint helps things flow a little bit, but it doesn't matter how much reducer you put in your paint, you're not going to change the size, the physical size of the particles of your paint. So airbrush paint actually has smaller particles of paint, and that's important to flow well. I would rather use a crappy airbrush with good airbrush paint than the other way around, than using a good airbrush with crappy paint. Luckily, it's really easy to find airbrush paint. There's lots of off-brands and stuff that work fine. And the good brands like Createx and Aquaflow and E-Tac, they're relatively easy to get online as well. I'm only seeing some of these comments coming in, but yes, after I paint the shirts, I have a heat press, which heats up to 350 degrees. And it's basically a big sandwich maker, big old sandwich press. And at 350 degrees, it seals the paint and cures it into the fabric of the shirt so that it's washable. And it flattens everything out so it's nice and smooth. It looks good. A lot of other people say things like you can just dry the shirt on high heat to seal it and everything. I haven't tried that. I don't trust that necessarily. I like the direct heat directly on the paint itself, and the pressure helps as well. When I started, I couldn't afford a heat press, so I just used an iron, and that worked. It's a pain in the butt, but it worked. Explain to me your art. Well, this is my art. The airbrush is cool. It's got two functions, basically. It's called a dual action airbrush. Most airbrushes that you use with art, pretty much anything that you see someone doing art with is a dual action airbrush. Single action airbrushes are used for model painting and stencils, but any artwork is dual action, and that means that you can push down for air, or you can pull back for paint. You have to do both to get paint to come out. If I just push down, there's no paint. But the farther I pull back, the more paint comes out. And you combine that with how far away from the shirt you are, which makes the spray pattern bigger or smaller. And that allows you to have a lot of range, anywhere from very, very fine lines all the way up to giant fills with the same tool. That gives you so much flexibility and freedom as an artist to create whatever kind of lines you want to. That you just really don't get any other tool. It's similar to a spray can, where you know, obviously it's bigger the farther away you are, but spray cans don't give you control over how much paint you're spraying at any given time. And that's where the airbrush comes in. You also have so much more precision with an airbrush than you do a spray can. I do love working with spray cans. I don't have nearly as much experience, but if you're familiar with spray cans, it does translate over well. One of the biggest differences is that the paint itself, airbrush paint is usually transparent, where graffiti spray can paint is almost always completely opaque. So you can blend colors, whereas with a spray can, if I painted over these black lines with this yellow, the yellow would cover the black. But you just watched me put yellow over top of this black, and it didn't cover it, did it? Because the paint is transparent, not opaque. There's lots of nuances. Every color acts a little bit differently. Every surface acts differently. You have to think about what pressure you're painting at, and there's lots of little things that change. But after an initial learning curve, you'll get the hang of it and really have a whole lot of freedom with this tool. You just don't quite get with anything else. A normal airbrush can be sealed with sheet on tissue. I'm not sure what you mean. This is airbrush paint. It's acrylic airbrush paint. And with the heat press, after I press it with this heat press over here, which is a big clamp down thing that heats up to 350 degrees, then it will be washable. The paint will be cured, sealed, dried, whatever words you want to use, and it will not wash off. The biggest problem you face with airbrush t-shirts fading is that people throw them in the dryer on high heat and the fabric itself on the shirt washes away, just like any other shirt would. Shirts fade in the washer. The lint that you collect out of your dryer, that is part of your t-shirt. And because your paint is on the fabric of the shirt, once the lint goes away, the paint starts going away too. So it's always best to wash them inside out just so that the shirt doesn't deteriorate. But the paint's not going anywhere. It doesn't run when it gets wet or anything like that. Chancey. This script lettering is a lot of fun. It'd be the first lettering style that I would teach in my class. It's certainly the easiest. It's what I learned first. It's the most popular. Starting out as an airbrush artist, this is what you would sell the most of as well. So it's good to learn that. And my class would teach things like these simple crowns and palm trees and everything else. All the basic tools that you would need to get started and get a good library of designs down. Just to get going. EST 2000. Green and pink with a gold crown. I also want to teach concepts like color theory and whatnot when it comes to how you put designs together. The customer wants green and pink on this design. And green and pink are great colors. They look good together. They're very popular together and all that. But they don't blend together. You want green and pink to complement each other, but not touch each other. And they can touch each other, but they can't blend with each other. So, if you mix green and pink together, you get this gross vomit brown color. This is not what you're looking for. You gotta know that beforehand. Do I sell shirts? Yes, I have a website. You can go to the link in my profile or bio. I don't know where it is on YouTube. It's just dale.ink, I-N-K. D-A-L-E.I-N-K. And that's like my link tree that'll get you to everywhere else you need to go. The classes, the Discord, a website to sell shirts, custom commissions and all of that. That's all through that same link. Does it smell strongly? Some brands of paint smell a lot stronger than others. It does not smell strong in here. I'm not wearing a mask or a respirator or anything. I do have a ventilation system, which isn't even on right now. Unless I'm spraying a whole lot of paint, I really don't need it. It's not real messy like you might think that it is. It's actually pretty clean. Depends on what I'm painting on. I'm painting on a t-shirt right now, which is an absorbent material. The paint soaks into it, of course, so it doesn't necessarily float around the room as if I was painting on a helmet or something hard surface. That's good. It affects your lungs. It certainly, for anything you breathe affects your lungs, but there's not a whole lot in the air. It's not cloudy in here. It's not dusty in here. There's not a smell in here. If I want to, if I ever feel like I need to, I can flip on my ventilation system right now. And suck up all the paint. You certainly can wear a respirator if you'd like to. Sometimes I do. if I was painting hard surfaces, again, like helmets or bikes or anything like that, the paint that I use for that sort of thing is different than this paint, and more of it gets in the air because it's a hard surface that doesn't absorb the paint. In that case, I would always have ventilation, and I would probably wear a mask or something. Anytime I'm spraying spray paint through a can, even outside, I usually have a respirator on. You know, I'm not giving you safety protocols. You do what you feel is best for that. I personally don't wear one all the time, but many of the artists I know do, and that's okay. It'd be hard for me to talk if I was wearing a mask all the time. What airbrushes do I use? That's a good question. I should have answered that already. These are Badger airbrushes, Omni 3000 airbrushes by Badger. They're very similar to the Iwata airbrushes. I actually have a stack of all the different Iwata siphon fed airbrushes here that I'm going to make review videos on all of these soon. These are brand new. I'm going to bust them out of the box and compare them all. We have all the way from the cheap Neos, which are like 50, 60 bucks, all the way up to this like $300 airbrush, all siphon fed airbrushes, and these little cheap Chinese ones that are like $15 or something. I'll do all kinds of review videos. I have plans for those, and that'll be part of, maybe not part of the class, but it'll be part of the equipment list, getting people set up with the right stuff. Like I said, it's more important to have quality paint than it is a quality airbrush, at least to start out with. But really, you want to have the best shot at it by having good stuff. Airbrushing is a little bit finicky. A lot of troubleshooting involved at the beginning when you don't know what you're doing, and that can be a little bit frustrating. So having a crappy airbrush is not going to help your initial experience. If you're serious about it and you want to learn, I recommend spending the full 80 bucks, 100 bucks on an airbrush instead of trying to get away with the cheap $30 one. But we'll get into more detail about that with the kits and the review videos. I'll be able to actually compare them all, apples to apples. Okay. These, get some heart designs. Pink hearts, blue hearts on this one. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that. Yeah, blue hearts on this one. On the front, I gotta make sure I'm doing these right. I started airbrushing at King's Dominion, a theme park, a local theme park, 15 years ago. As soon as I started painting, I knew that this was going to be what I did for the rest of my life, like professionally. It was really fun to paint. It was extra fun to paint with other people and bounce around ideas and learn from each other and just, have that camaraderie. And handing customers their shirts who were just flabbergasted every time. It was really encouraging. It was a lot of fun to see. And so I started my own business. It was a seasonal job. When the summer season ended and everyone had to take a break for a while, that's when I started my own website. I was one of the first websites selling airbrush t-shirts online. This was long before Shopify or Etsy were around, so I had to code the whole website by hand, which was a task. I had to teach myself web development first. But that slowly started growing. I opened up a shop in the mall in the meantime to supplement sales. And eventually that mall shop closed and I just worked off of online sales. And I started making videos and social media posts and whatnot, just mostly as advertising and for fun. And then some of them really started growing. And here we are. They just continue to go from there. I paint to make videos, and I make videos to paint. All kind of plays off of each other. I never thought I'd be teaching airbrush classes and traveling for murals and stuff, but that's what I'm doing. My goal, I don't know if I'd call it my goal in life, but one of the next goals I have is I want to start traveling for murals. I've done this a little bit. I've been to a few different places, and there's only one time that I was actually flown out to paint a mural, but that was a fun experience. I want to do more of that. I would like to see the world and hopefully paint the world a little bit. That'd be a really cool way to travel, I think. A traveling artist. So I'm making videos and teaching classes. I'm trying to grow connections and grow relationships and just get to know people. If you're one of those people that have an idea for a mural, maybe you work for a company that's got a bunch of extra money and like doing cool marketing things, or maybe just have an event that you'd like me to come paint at or whatever. I'm available for that type of thing. I'm love to come out. These are still probably pretty wet. Alright. Lisa, this is the extra large. Lisa and JC forever. So cute. Corn cob design. Probably shouldn't make fun of my customers as much as I do. It's not my fault you ordered a cheesy t-shirt, you know? How do you learn to steady your hands so well? Well, that's another technique, another thing. I'm not using my wrists to paint. If you watch me paint from the side, my wrists are never moving. I'm moving my elbows and shoulders. I'm painting with my hips a lot. I'm using big muscle movements. The bigger your muscle movements are, the more smooth your lines are going to be. Same thing on this one. So I'm never using my wrist to paint letters. I'm moving my whole arms. Watch my wrist just stay locked. One of the biggest keys. You also see that while I'm painting, you can hear the air is still flowing, right? I'm not stopping the air. I'm starting and stopping the flow of paint by pushing back or pushing forward and pulling back on this trigger. Remember, the farther back you pull, the more paint comes out. So to stop my lines, I'm not letting go of the trigger. I'm pushing forward on the trigger to stop the flow of paint without stopping the flow of air. That's important because not only does it give you a lot of trigger control practice, but it makes the paint flow start and stop smoother instead of having, if you just stop the paint by letting go of the air. Let's see if I can even do it. It's hard to even do. When I start spraying again, I didn't pull back at all. I'm just spraying air is going to spray this splatter of paint. And a lot of new artists don't realize that, and they got like splatters all over the shirt. All of the talent really is right there in the finger. The little tiny micro movements of the trigger. The difference between a fine little hairline and a large line is just like literally this much trigger control. So you're constantly moving and just these little tiny movements. Mixture of pulling back the right amount and timing so that you pull it back at the right time. That's how you do stuff. Just like putting a line where you want it. all you can do to get that is just practice. Practice and practice. Learning how to airbrush is similar to learning an instrument. I've always said that. It takes the same amount of muscle memory and dedication and practice. It's like learning the guitar. You have to really put some time into, maybe not a whole lot of time if you're coordinated, but enough effort into it to really be comfortable with the thing. When I paint murals, I use spray paint. Yeah, usually. I've done both. I've done airbrush murals and spray paint murals. Really what determines that is the size. If it's a giant mural, then yeah, I have to use spray paint. But if it's something tiny inside, like a little office mural or a bedroom mural or something like that, a lot of times that's just airbrush paint. What do I use on helmets? Sometimes the same thing depending on the helmet. If it's like a softball helmet or something like that, I'll just use this. But if it's a motorcycle helmet where like the quality needs to be a little higher, they're expecting super detailed work and they're expecting like really high quality clear coats and stuff, then there's special automotive paints that I would use. I don't do that often. I would like to do more of that sometimes, but I'm more of a graffiti artist. I paint quick and dirty. I just knock out stuff. Most projects I do last less than a day. They take a couple hours to paint. I don't have a whole lot of projects that I've spent days and days on. I just like to work quickly. Painting on helmets and cars and stuff is something that I could do. I just really haven't exposed myself to that sort of clientele yet. It's my dream project. Oh, hey, Danny. Dream project. Travel to somewhere tropical. Well, really anywhere. Paint a mural, hang out and explore the local establishments, eat some delicious food. Just explore what some town or city's got to offer for a while painting a mural and getting to know some people, and then come back home and then do it again in a couple weeks. I like to paint animals and geometric things, abstract things. I think graffiti lettering is my favorite thing to do. Portraits and things aren't really my style. I like to say that I probably can paint anything, but it doesn't mean that I really want to paint anything. Not everything is my style. As a commission-based artist, I've had to do, whatever the customer wants for a long time, and that's kind of enabled me to have a wide range of abilities. I can copy anything, I can come up with a design for anything. But when it comes to me creating artwork that I like to create, sometimes that's more difficult for me actually to come up with the idea by myself. Because I'm usually limited to, the commission job. It usually ends up being an animal in some sort of abstract scene, sort of surrealistic stuff. T-shirts, these are Gildan heavyweight. Heavy cotton t-shirts. I can get other t-shirts if someone's got a strong preference, but I've been using these for 15 years with no problems. I tried the Gildan Ultra Cotton for a while, but they feel about the same. They're a lot more expensive, and I just went back to the heavy cottons. For the women's shirts, I use Bella and Canvas. Bougie ones. I know what the ladies like. My phone is getting close to dying. I hope it doesn't die on me. Would it be hard to move from graffiti with cans? They translate pretty well. If you've got experience with one, you're definitely going to have a leg up in learning the other. Concepts like the distance from the surface and the angle of the the can and whatnot, those are all, you know, they translate exactly the same. The only extra thing with airbrushing is you have this trigger control to learn. And other than that, you're painting smaller, but you're still using your body. Spray cans and airbrushing, you're using your whole body, not your wrist. So it does feel very similar. I started with airbrushing, and I was able to pick up cans pretty well. It's actually more difficult to learn the technical side of like blending colors and stuff with cans versus airbrushing instead of creating the lines. I can put the lines where I want to with a can, but it's harder for me to blend colors and make these big smooth gradients with cans than maybe it should be. And all that boils down to, again, the airbrush paint is transparent and not opaque. So I'm used to being able to, like I'm about to do right now, take this yellow paint and blend it on top of the pink, and it's going to make a nice, pretty orange color. Instead of using orange, I can use two colors on the surface to blend and mix and make my color right here. With a spray can, that wouldn't work. It would just be all yellow now. So when I'm painting murals with cans, I now have to remember to bring like every single color that I want. I have to bring a pink, I have to bring an orange, I have to bring a light orange, I have to bring a yellow, I have to bring every color in order to get the color that I want, instead of being able to mix on the fly. And that's probably the most difficult aspect of using spray cans for me personally. It's just something I gotta keep practicing. Also the scale. I'm used to painting at this scale. When I'm painting at a massive scale, it's harder to visualize things, especially when you're right up against the wall and all that. Where to buy? I've got some links in my bio at the Dale.ink page where you can buy some airbrush equipment and stuff like that. Like I said earlier, I'm going to make some review videos on a bunch of different airbrushes here soon. I have them behind me. They're right there. I guess got to make some videos on it so that we can compare what's what and which ones work well, which ones you should buy starting out and all that. If you don't want to wait for those videos, I would right now suggest the Iwata Eclipse. Go with an Iwata Eclipse. It's definitely the industry standard. Most people use it. I like the Badger airbrushes. That's what I've always said. It's what I'm using right now. I still stand behind them. The only problem is they're very hard to find, especially lately. It's difficult to get your hands on them and get your hands on parts and all of that. If they were easier to find, I would recommend them just as much. But as a new artist who doesn't have any airbrushes yet, I recommend you get started with something that you're going to be able to continue to find parts for. And I don't know how well Badger is going to continue doing that. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they come back and start getting back at it. What do these say? Both of these are the same size. Ghosty and Tilly. Mexico Beach. Okay. Interesting names. Tilly. Mexico Beach, Florida. I almost spelled Mexico Beach wrong. This one's got the names opposite order. Alright guys, I'm gonna have to hop off of here because my phone is about to die. And I'd rather be able to end this video intentionally than just it disappear. So, thank you very much for hanging out. Thank you again, Todd, for the little tip that you gave. That was very much appreciated. If you're interested in learning how to airbrush, check out that link, dale.inc. Haha, that rhymed. And join the Discord. Let me know through Discord that you're interested and we'll get it set up. The class is going to be through the Discord, so it's a good place to go. Go ahead and get started there. If you just feel generous and you want to support what I do, you're always welcome to subscribe, be a member here on YouTube or Patreon. I have a Patreon as well. Either one or whatever, or neither or both, or who cares. I always appreciate you guys watching and commenting and sharing and all of the things. The genuine feedback that I get from you is the reason that I continue to do this, and I'm excited to continue to make stuff. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching. God bless you. I love you. And I will see you guys next time.